and she's never complained before, madam.
What's the hold-up? Is dinner never coming?
Jane, tell cook we'll be about 30 minutes. It's Eleanor again. You have time to finish your game?
James is famished. We've been riding all day.
Papa!
Oh.
Come in. Isabel, it's no use nagging me. I cannot come downstairs with my hair looking like a bird's nest.
In all the years I've known you, you've never worried about silly things like fashion or curlicues, curls or ringlets.
Oh, is he?
And Mr. Jameson has not come to meet some vain, silly 17-year-old having tantrums and upsetting the servants.
It's a good thing you left medical school before you graduated. You're brutal. You're pulling it out in handfuls.
Well, then you won't have to worry anymore, will you? Eleanor Bramwell, famed for her sharp mind and her bald head. Oh. He's a very dear friend, and he thinks you don't want to meet him.
I don't want you matchmaking for me.
We are not. Oh, but we can't live in Purdah for the next few weeks just because you wish to. I'm sorry, Eleanor.
Oh, is he? You're right, and I'm wrong. All wrong. I'm sorry, of course you can't.
We do feel for you. Come in. Put them over here, Jane. I'll do it.
No, you go to your guest. I'm sorry, Jane. Was I horribly rude?
No, miss, but I was doing my best.
Of course you are. Come on then, make me beautiful. Is he a terribly boring solicitor or just a little bit boring?
Come into the garden board, for the black bat night hath flown. Come into the garden board. I am here at the gate alone. I am here at the gate alone. I am here at the gate. See my broken heart, see my tears, hear my sobs. I am here. I am here, abandoned, unloved, spurned, just plain not good enough, quite frankly. I am here and will remain here at the gate until I am old and wrinkled and unlovely, alone.
Bravo!
Oh, dear.
I've upset her.
Everything upsets her. Seeing us happy, hearing us disagree, seeing the children play, the servants, the smell of a rose.
Charles, her heart is broken.
Sweetheart, we can't mend it for her. Only she can do that.
Stupid, 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 stupid. It's so easy for everyone else. You and Charles so happy, and my father and Mrs. Costigan so... Why can't I fall in love and live happily ever after? If I ever see him again, I think that I will kill him. I'll hit him and hit him and hit him until he's...
coming. You see, Charles, you look very pretty, Eleanor.
You slept well?
I didn't allow myself to sleep. I lay awake on a bed of nails all night as a punishment for being such a terrible house guest.
Oh, no.
And as dawn broke, I made a resolution. It's time to leave my broken heart and Finn O'Neill behind. I am a spinster. I shall enjoy being a spinster, and I shall be a wonderful aunt and godmother, shan't I?
Such nonsense, Eleanor. You already are.
I shall take the children on a picnic and write a note to our maid. It's her birthday next week. Oh, and I'll visit the village school you take such an interest in.
It's Sunday.
Ah, then the village school will have to wait until tomorrow. I'm glad it's Sunday. I shall start my new life with a rousing hymn and a stirring sermon.
Not in our parish church, you won't.
Charles.
We counted a huge success if any of the congregation managed to stay awake.
He's dreadful. Take no notice.
And when he said, my 11th observation on this verse can be subdivided into 3.
I did warn you.
Oh, see what light through that small window breaks. It's dawn, Romeo. It's nearly 6 o'clock. Then I'd better go and see my family. But I dare not tell them about you, my dearest.
Romeo and Juliet.
Miss Bramwell. We don't have a lady, so we have to use Alibaba.
Well, Alibaba sounded just like a lady to me. You must be Sarah.
Yes, miss. Sarah Maule. I look after the children when a nanny has a day off.
William's been talking about you all week. And Mrs. Kilshaw says you're the brightest star in the village school.
She's going to be a teacher.
If I'm good enough, miss.
Of course you are. I can see it straight away. And you're a budding actress.
I just like the story. Those two poor people, so deeply in love and so tragic. And I'm doing it in my exam, miss.
Exams. I've wasted half my life on exams, Sarah. Exams do not make you happy. And being happy is what matters.
Luncheon is served.
Everyone wants us ladies to be happy. If we smile and say all the right things, it makes life so much easier. Sarah, I'll tell your teacher you must read about Miss Nightingale, adventures in far-flung lands. Every girl should know about Florence Nightingale.
Sarah is not Eleanor Bramwell. She's an orphan. She was brought up in the workhouse, and we must fit her for her position in this world. The school teacher has her under his wing.
Up.
To write you a note, though. James, you must be very impressed.
Well, it doesn't take much, then. Oh, I suppose it wouldn't do any harm to meet him again.
There you are, ladies. Ladies! Where are you off to?
The school. Eleanor wants to meet Mr. Herne.
Mr. Herne? Poor girl. Just think, darling. If I hadn't rescued you from medical school, you could have turned out just as peculiar.
We try to school one girl for teaching and one boy for clerking.
And if you have more than one talented pupil?
Country needs its farm labourers, Miss Bramwell, quite as much as its doctors. We all must eat. Sam Loach has been absent all week.
The mill again. I'll call in on his mother on the way home.
You'll just give her another sovereign and she'll just spend it on gin again.
Poor little boy. Working in that dreadful place.
I think we must give up with him. He's born to be a beast of burden in this miserable mire of a village.
You dislike the village and the children, and you despise education. I wonder that you bother at all.
Eleanor.
So do I. When I have to tolerate the criticism of ladies who stare at my pupils as if they were animals in the zoo.
I was noting the ringworm and lice, the scabs and sores and signs of malnutrition.
I'm grateful for your interest. But Mrs. Kilshaw should not have torn you away from your sewing circle.
Miss Bramwell is far too busy with her hospital to join any sewing circle.
And I would be ashamed of a waiting room as full of dirt and disease as this classroom is.
Would you, Miss Bramwell? How satisfying for you. Sarah, sit down. Cannot hear a word you're saying, you stupid creatures. Sit up straight, hold your arms. Now, once 7 is 7, 2 7s are 14.
Loach's cottage.
In the East End, they'd think this was heaven.
It's all very well saying that, ma'am, but he's the eldest. If he don't work at mill, he'll have to go on fields.
He doesn't look like he's well enough to work anywhere.
He's got a cold. He'll be all right.
Fresh air would do them more good than this smoky atmosphere. I'll wait for you, Isabel.
Sam, can you sit up for me?
No, miss. Got this ache in me head. My eyes are so sore.
Eleanor! This boy has a terrible rash.
And I'm not doctoring, but resting. The place is filthy. What can you expect?
I'll do my best, miss.
You'll be crawling with vermin yourself if you don't get off that floor.
Oh, not on the lady. Use the bowl.
Here's a sovereign to buy some good fresh food. I'll have my housekeeper send a mattress.
Does the light hurt you?
It blinds me, miss. But stretches so red.
He has raging measles. The baby, this child, the little girl outside, they all have measles. I wonder how many more are incubating it.
There are no rashes here.
How do you know? Have you looked?
We have sicknesses all the time. Mumps, measles, whooping cough. We reel from one epidemic to another.
Epidemics are the result of ignorance and neglect, not thunderbolts from heaven.
I'm a teacher, not a doctor. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going for my dinner. Sarah, take them through their tables again at 1 o'clock.
Yes, sir.
Examine them if you must. It'll make no difference to them or me.
I'm here to rest, Mr. Herne, not to work.
Then go and rest, Miss Bramwell. No one is asking you to do anything but mind your own business.
Am I the only doctor in the area? He's so unspeakably rude.
He has a terrible temper, miss. Best not to cross him.
Well, you have a clean bill of health. You can run along outside and play.
Miss, it's 1:15. And Mr. Herne said...
Don't worry about Mr. Herne. With half his school infected, I'm sure he'll have better things to worry about than multiplication tables.
You're quite wrong, Miss Bramwell. Sarah, assemble the class.
All these children are infected. You can't sit them next to healthy children in this one airless room.
What do you think will happen when I dismiss them at the end of the day? Do you think their parents will segregate them from each other? Sarah, the door.
Sarah, stay where you are. I will not let you neglect the care of these children.
You seem a little irrational, Miss Bramwell. And as you are here for a rest, I can only suggest that you take it.
Sarah, will you please run to Mr. Kilshaw and tell him that I need to see him urgently?
What are you going to do?
Measles can kill a malnourished child, and these are half-starved. If it doesn't kill them, it can deafen them. They need care and nursing, and I will make sure they get it. You heard me.
Do as you're told, girl.
And Sarah, leave the doors open. We need fresh air.
Go, boy.
Be resting while you're here. Obviously, I won't be doing it all myself. I've worked out a rota system for the mothers, but the care they give will be very basic.
It's only measles. Every child gets it. And Jamesy's come especially.
I must see the children settled down for the night.
Really, Eleanor, you're beyond a joke.
Now, Eleanor, be honest with your old Uncle Charles. Measles, you're not overreacting in any way, are you?
No. No!
It isn't because Mr. Herne annoyed you and you wanted to show him a thing or two.
There are 2 young babies in the village. We can't risk them getting infected.
When you decide to shake off melancholy, you do it very thoroughly. But if being busy helps...
It does. You see right through me, don't you?
You're glass. Clear, sparkling glass. And as fragile.
Oh dear. Save me from Mr. Jameson, Charles.
Miss Bramwell.
Really, Charles, sometimes I could...
Don't trip her up and tie her down. She has sick children to look after.
And she doesn't like me.
Of course she does. Well, everyone does.
Calamine lotion,
4 big bottles.
lint,
Yes.
Lysol, yes, and thermometers.
6, miss.
Good. Well, let's tuck them all in and settle them down for the night. Better go home to your other children, Mrs. Jenkins.
If you can manage, Doctor.
Sarah's staying for the night.
I've made my bed up in Mr. Herne's office.
Have you taken the temperatures?
I have, miss.
What a good nurse you'd make. Look at these neat records, Mrs. Jenkins.
Are they all to have it, miss?
Don't wake up the little ones, but if they wake in the night, give it to them then. And keep your eyes on Sam. He's the worst affected.
Yes, Doctor.
And as much water as they like.
Yes, miss.
That's not mine.
No, it was the warmest in the house. I don't want you catching a chill. Good Lord. Has she hurt herself?
I don't know. What happened? I didn't see. Did she drop the jug or stumble?
She swooned. She just gave a huge sigh, closed her eyes, and sort of poleaxed herself.
Very poetic. Well, lift her up, Charles. We can't leave her here all night.
Right.
No wonder she fainted. She's laced herself in too tightly.
Well, 5 months gone, I'd say. All her fancy education ideas.
Yes. Oh, poor girl.
It's true what they say. You start off in the workhouse, it'll call you back. Only place I'll have her now.
There it is. First sign of the rash. She has measles in addition to all her other problems. Could you bring a thermometer, please, Mrs. Jenkins? Mrs. Jenkins?
My husband's a sidesman at the church, miss.
I'm sorry?
I'll be off home.
Yes, of course. The thermometers are on the table next to the calamine lotion.
I won't do anything for an immoral slut, miss. I'll be back in the morning for the children.
Don't worry. There's only you and me. Mrs. Jenkins has gone. You see? We're all alone.
Miss.
Have you told anybody else? The father? So you've been worrying about this and weeping and fretting all on your own? Don't you have any family at all?
No, miss.
Well, what are we going to do with you? Do you know who the father is? Yes, of course you do. I'm sorry. Well, you must tell him, and he must accept responsibility.
I can't, miss. You'll be so...
Take my hand. Here. Now you're not alone. Charles. I'd quite forgotten you. How dreadful of me.
I'm glad you did. How's Sarah?
Another case of measles. Well, off you go to Isabel's ruined dinner. There's nothing you can do here.
I'm waiting to walk you home.
I'm not going. Sarah can't look after the small ones, and someone must.
But not you.
I've done worse. In worse places.
Isabel would never forgive me. She'll beat me soundly and refuse me my pudding.
Well, you shall go to bed puddingless. Off you go.
What a wonderful woman you are, Eleanor Bramwell.
A wonderful woman. I watch you, and I'm lost in wonder.
Where will you sleep?
Oh, I won't. I'll doze and rest. I'm used to it. Good night. Charles, why did you say you were glad I had forgotten you?
Because when you saw me, your face lit up. And you're quite beautiful when you smile. Good night.
I'll have a rest and come back later.
Now look after them, miss.
Fresh food and quiet. That's all they need. Try not to worry too much.
Never been married, no children. Knows better than any of us.
Staying out all night. No wonder she hasn't got a husband. Doctor, indeed. There's nothing she's doing here we couldn't do at home.
So you have to have the temperatures taken.
Not everyone fed?
Could I have some?
Put the lid on the pot, then. We can eat it up for supper.
All the village girls, she is the last one I would have suspected. After all Mr. Herne has done for her, well, and us. The whole village, really. This is how she rewards us. Going with the farmhands, no doubt.
Sarah seems like a very nice girl to me.
Well, she fooled all of us.
She has no one. She's used by everyone, by Mr. Herne in the schoolroom.
For her own good.
By you in the nursery.
Is that how you
And
see
now
us?
by some man.
Well, you talk as if you hate us all, me and Charles.
I don't hate anyone. It was a mistake, my coming here. We have so little in common.
I don't understand. We were talking about that wretched girl and suddenly we're at loggerheads.
I better get back to the schoolroom. Sarah will be feeling dreadful.
Well, I feel dreadful.
You're so smug, Izzy. Can't you imagine what a girl like Sarah must be going through?
No, I cannot. She's been given a good Christian upbringing, living off the charity of others, and now she's permitted some man.
Sarah has done only what I and countless others have done, but with far more excuse. And now you may send me back to London if you like. I must look after a 15-year-old child who is alone and lonely and lost.
Remorse do good works. Repentance is more than words.
Sarah, what are you doing? You should be resting.
Mrs. Jenkins said I was to make myself useful, miss.
Leave them. Leave them and go indoors.
Her position in life has changed. She needs to accept and understand that.
She needs Christian forgiveness, good food and rest. Good day.
Good day, Miss Bramwell.
Sarah, scrub your hands and arms and find a clean apron. And how are we all? Has Sarah taken your temperatures?
She has not. She hasn't been anywhere near them.
Sarah, come and sit down and take down the temperatures as I call them out. What is that delicious smell? Lamb?
Chitterlings, miss.
Ah, lovely.
We don't have that slut anywhere near our children. And if the vicar has nothing to say about it, I'll be surprised.
It's a church school, slipping slim rumours innocence.
She should be sent straight back to the workhouse where she belongs.
Unless she does, the school won't see me again for one.
And my husband won't be supplying them with meat, I can promise you that. Coming here with her London ideas.
Thank you.
We've had enough of it.
Yesterday afternoon, you took a walk to the village. Since then, you've closed the school, reopened it as a hospital, and alienated the local women. What exactly were those harridans going on about?
Isabel didn't tell you?
She just said you'd argued. She's lying in her room with a headache.
The slut is poor little Sarah.
Sarah? Sarah Mole? What about her?
She's having a child.
Good God.
And she has measles. She refuses to name the father, but I'll speak to her again later.
How is she? Physically, I mean.
She's young, fit. It is only a simple infection after all. But it would be sad if it affected the baby. An unwed mother with a sick or crippled child.
Poor wretch.
Yes. And some man walks away laughing.
How do you know he's doing that?
Men all over the world do that.
Eleanor. We're not all like Finn O'Neill. Sweet, lonely Eleanor. I think no less of you.
Isabel told you.
No. Just listening to you talk. Is that why you and Izzy argued?
We argued over Sarah, and then I told her about Finn. I think she was very shocked.
Yes. Yes, she would be. She's very sheltered.
How I wish I was as sheltered and narrow-minded and cosseted as she is.
How glad I am that you're not.
I thought that I could never confide in anyone.
You know your confidence is safe with me.
Yes, I do. Well, I'd better help Sarah with dinner or she'll be fainting again. And some of the children can play outside this afternoon.
I owe you 5 farthings, say the bells of St. Martin's. When will you pay me, said the bells of
When I grow rich, says the bells of
Good afternoon, Dr. Bramwell.
Mr. Herne.
This is a happy little scene.
It was.
Children do not seem to have their spirits dampened by my presence.
Not all of them, no.
And how is Sarah?
A little tired. Determined not to name the father. Very loyal.
Yes, she would be. It's in her nature.
Which makes her predicament all the more tragic. She's without a future now. No school will ever have an unmarried mother on its staff.
No. It's a harsh world.
And a hypocritical one.
Dr. Bramwell, have I done something new to offend you?
Not me, no.
You think... My God, you dare to
The
think...
child lives in awe of you. How could you be so cruel and perverted?
And you, Miss Bramwell? How is it that such a pretty face can conceal such a cesspit of a mind?
We'd better start preparing the supper.
Take these little pains, miss.
Come along, you can scrape the carrots and talk to me about the father of this child.
I can't. He'd be in such trouble.
Now, don't distract me, Sarah. Before the day's out, you're going to tell me the man's name.
What sort of cramp it is, miss?
Grief and heartbreak do strange things to a woman.
She called me smug.
And so you are. As I am too. When anyone is as happy as we are, they can't help but be smug. We must make allowances for Eleanor.
I never stopped making allowances for her. I put myself out. I reorganised the whole household to make her welcome. I've Jamesy coming for cards tonight.
Jamesy? Has he moved in?
Well, Eleanor said she wanted to meet him again, didn't she?
I want to stop here, miss.
You can't, I'm sorry. We have to take you somewhere you can be properly looked after.
Please, miss, I don't mind.
Let these little innocents see the state you're in. Not madam.
Mrs. Jenkins, thank you for coming back. I don't know how long I'll be.
We'll look after the children, miss. Better us than that creature.
Isabel, child, I'm sorry. I need your help.
Whatever is it?
Sarah has miscarried. I have to bring her here.
Oh, for goodness sake, here!
She's bleeding. I can't help her at the school. You've seen how filthy the place is. And that tiny room. You trained to be a doctor for 2 years.
Yes, but
There's no one else who can help me. She's bleeding, Izzy. She could die. Quickly, Isabel. All the children. So we can at least wash things. How are you, my dear?
Not well, miss. I don't understand. Have I lost the child?
You have Sarah. I'm sorry.
I'm glad, really, miss.
And now we must look after you. The nightgown. I left it upstairs.
Not her, miss, please.
A nightgown from my room. Take your pulse.
No, Mrs. Kilshaw, please.
No, Mrs. Kilshaw will be very kind.
But it's wrong.
Don't be silly.
Not him, miss. Please don't let him stay.
He won't stay. Try to be calm.
Shush now, Sarah.
Oh, God, I'm sorry.
Sarah.
I've lost the child, Charles. Nothing to worry about anymore.
Can't you calm her?
Must try to lie still and breathe deeply.
Our own little child. For the best, though, isn't
Your
it?
child?
She's making no sense.
At a time like this, a man is neither use nor ornament.
I thought it might look just like little Rosie.
Sarah, you must lie still. Her pulse is failing.
Shh, my
Charles,
dear, be
get out
still.
now!
You're going to feel better very soon. Hold my hand.
You really don't want a dinner guest on an evening like this.
I certainly do. Stop them talking about the wretched operation. How are you, darling?
Exhausted.
You see, I'd better go.
How's the girl?
She's recovering.
She's very distressed. As much for the child as for herself, grieving its loss.
It's probably for the best. For her sake.
She's still very weak. She'll need a few days' bed rest at least.
The maid is sitting with her until she wakes properly. We won't move her upstairs to the servants' quarters for a couple of days.
She can't stay here.
Well, why not? Where else can she go?
They'll take care of her at the workhouse.
You can't want her to go back to that dreadful place.
No.
Well, I must bathe and change.
You must be exhausted.
And you? Your child has just died. Do you feel no emotion?
Relief. Not for me, for her. I never intended any of this. The girl looked after the children. She was just a servant.
Just.
But then she started talking to me about books, and she became something more.
And now you're going to tell me that you loved her.
No, but she loved me, and that's very seductive.
Is it?
You know it is.
Well, she can't stay here under the same roof as Isabel.
I'll never so much as look at Sarah again. I won't risk losing Isabel and my future for the sake of some girl with a winning smile.
How can you be sure? You're so weak and so ready to be tempted.
If I was weak, then so was she.
She is just a child. You took advantage.
I didn't force myself on her. I'm not that kind of gentleman. Any more than Finn O'Neill is. When a woman takes the risk.
Shall I come to your rooms? Tomorrow night, leave the side door open.
A shockingly shameless woman.
We must think of the future now. No moping about the past.
No one will have me now, miss.
Why? Because your brow's branded with some shocking scarlet mark? It isn't. Why shouldn't you find a good job, a new home, maybe a husband one day?
I don't want a husband, miss. All I want is one kind word. Just for him to say he's sorry about the child and about me. That's not much to want, is it?
No. You still love him?
Mrs. Kilshaw's been so kind to me. That makes me hate him. When I see him. I know it's wrong of me.
Men can stop loving at the drop of a hat. Women can't. But moping around and being tragic about it won't help you or anyone else, will it?
They won't have him back at mill till she says he's fit.
Well, at least she's fed him for a few days.
Shilling a week I'm losing. Won't be her reaching into pockets, will it?
Am I to understand that Sam will not be returning to his lessons?
I've got the rest of them to feed.
Mrs. Loach? Sam will be back to normal in a couple of days.
You'll be doing him a note then, miss?
When his eyes have stopped itching. Maybe tomorrow.
You're not cheating, are you? No. There. Gotcha. No.
She loves me. She loves me not. She loves me.
It's Tinker Tailor Soldier Sailor for Jerrystone.
That's to decide who you're going to marry. I made that decision 2 children and a whole lifetime ago. She loves me not.
Here, have one of mine. Have you ever seen such a child, Jamesy?
She loves me. There. Now I can enjoy the rest of the evening.
I'm going home on Monday.
What?
I'll send a note to my father.
But you were staying here until the end of the month.
You don't want me cluttering up your social calendar for another 3 weeks.
I do. Sorry.
If Eleanor feels ready to return to the hectic life of London...
She isn't. This is because we had words the other day, isn't it?
Of course not.
As I was so judgmental to that poor girl downstairs.
Your turn, Jamesy. Tinker, Tailor, Doctor, Sailor.
But I just wasn't thinking. And it was before I saw how distressed she was, and I have tried to make up for it.
It has nothing to do with Sarah. Well, very little. You and Charles have your own very full lives, and I have mine.
But I won't see you for months, unless I come up to town.
We'll miss you, Eleanor, but you must do what you think best.
Oh, but the children have their little show to put on for you.
I'm not running away in the middle of the night. They can put it on tomorrow.
Is it so terrible here?
It's wonderful. You've been very kind. You offered your house as a refuge, and that's what I saw at first. A rural idyll, all peace and kindness. But it isn't. It's a community which punishes a foolish girl and casts her out.
We are not throwing her out. I've told her she may stay on as under-nanny.
I asked you to wait until we discussed it.
Stay on here? But that's even worse.
Even worse? I don't understand you. I really do not begin to understand you.
I suppose I could join a club up in town and call on you once a month or so.
You can't stay here, you know that.
Mrs. Kilshaw asked me.
But Mrs. Kilshaw doesn't know, does she? If you stay here seeing Charles Kilshaw day in and day out, what do you think will happen? You're not a child, Sarah. Answer me.
Nothing will happen, miss. Mr. Kilshaw came to my room last night to tell me that nothing must ever happen again.
He came to your room? Doesn't that demonstrate how wrong this is?
Only to tell me it could never happen again.
And when Isabel is cross with him, or he speaks to you in the library, or he catches sight of you through a window, that's how these things happen, Sarah. If you read in one of your books about a married man with 2 lovely children making love to an orphan girl...
You make it sound dreadful.
...and flirting with his wife's best friend, would he be the hero or the villain or just a very weak man? He wants to be strong, but he can't. So you must be strong enough for both of you.
Where will I go?
You can work with me in the East End until you're accepted as one of Miss Nightingale's nurses.
Would they take me?
Of course they'll take you. Put them on the Kilshaw's cart, please, Sam.
Dr. Bramwell. I believe there have been no new cases of measles for 3 days.
Sensible quarantine halts the spread of disease, Mr. Herne.
And the children will all be returning to their lessons tomorrow, looking healthier than I've ever seen them.
I think maybe that's an exaggeration.
For a whole week, they were put to bed early and allowed to sleep through. They had simple, good food and were neither cursed nor beaten. You may have given them the only stay in heaven they will ever know.
Are you mocking me, Mr. Herne?
Why should I mock you for what I cannot do? Wish I could bring a few days' peace and joy into their lives.
But you give them so much. Education.
I limit what I teach them. I have a responsibility. I don't torture Sarah with dreams she can never fulfill.
Dreams are not a torture.
Disappointed dreams, unfulfilled dreams.
What dreams did you have when you first came to teaching, Mr. Herne?
You've done a deal of good in this village, as a doctor. And I honour you for it. But the greatest kindness you can do poor Sarah is to equip her for the miserable life she must lead, not give her dreams she can never ever... I have my lessons to prepare for tomorrow. Good day, Dr. Bramwell.
I'm sure that you've been offended in some way.
No.
Was it Charles? He does enjoy mischief-making, but there's no harm in him.
I haven't been offended.
And to take Sarah with you, I just wish I knew what had happened. Sit down here and talk to me properly. Tell me everything. Every single thing that has happened.
Nothing has happened. I've been here too long. I miss my friends and my work. And I'm over Finn, that's all.
And now you must hurry back to all your adventures and excitements.
To long hours and little pay and a father who hasn't much time for me these days.
Well, you have so much. Independence, income, interest. You do good in the world.
And I'm lonely.
I thought I was lonely until I married.
But you do love him.
Does he love me? Has he ever?
No. No, is he? Truly nothing like that. I'm sure he loves you.
If he was unfaithful to me, I think I would die.
But I'm sure...
Marriage is all I have. If he turns away from me, I've got nothing, while you have so much. When I get your letters, I read them over and over again, trying to imagine your world. And at the back of my head, there's this little nugget of consolation that she doesn't know what it is to have been loved. And now it seems you know even that.
He loved me, yes. But it didn't last very long.
The carriage is here. Have you ladies finished your gossip?
We were talking about you. Eleanor says you're much more handsome than she remembered. Don't you, Ellie?
Yes. Is Sarah ready?
Waiting downstairs.
Bye, Rosie. Be good.
Thanks, Bramwell.
There's cake and cordial in the basket.
Thank you. We'll have it on the train. A picnic, Sarah.
You have an hour to get to the station, Arnold.
A moment, please.
What can you possibly have to complain about now?
Mr. Kilshaw, Mrs. Kilshaw, Dr. Bramwell.
Good morning, Mr. Herne. We are in rather a hurry to get to the station.
Yes, I won't detain you. Sarah, I thought you might enjoy these. There's an atlas, so that wherever Miss Nightingale sends you, you'll know where you're going.
Thank you, sir.
And Romeo and Juliet, the greatest travelling companion of all, a well-loved book.
Wherever she goes, she'll always remember the teacher who gave it to her. Won't you, Sarah?
Well, be a good girl now, and don't disgrace us. Goodbye.
Charles?
Ah, yes. Sarah. A small gift from Mrs. Kilshaw and me.
You'll need to buy aprons and caps.
£5.
It seems like a fortune, but...
Thank you. I don't want it.
It might be very useful.
I'll work for what I get, miss. Earn it honestly.
I didn't steal it from a bank.
Thank you, Mrs. Kilshaw. But I'd rather not have your husband's money.
Get on your way, Arnold.
Walk on.
Are you feeling poorly?
Nurses and doctors never feel poorly. We never feel tired. We never eat, scratch or flirt with the patient. It's a very hard life, which is why we need the occasional cake to fortify us. Madeira, fruit and chocolate.